Welcome. You're listening to Sports Econ 101, the show where we discuss sports topics from a business perspective. I'm your host, Edward Brown, along with my co-host, Vern Glenn of CBS affiliate KPIX TV in San Francisco, and Russell Jackman. At each commercial break, we're going to ask a sports trivia question. Today's trivia theme is the NBA Masters.
Okay.
Right? Got to keep the NBA going for just a little bit longer here.
All right.
Keep Mr. Russell engaged. Now, last week we had a little bit of gentle controversy on Sports Econ 101, which, of course, we'll have to just continue on for just a little bit today.
Okay.
If you want to go there.
Okay.
Well,
Okay.
again,
All right.
It's all, you know, the thing I love about us is that we can disagree, be respectful, and it's, you know, there's no hard feelings. It's just getting things out on the table, and we'll all kind of run the world with our mastery of law, feelings, and economics. How's that?
Okay.
Okay.
Again, it's your show.
I said, well, hey.
Yeah, you're driving. We're just in the passenger seat or the back seat. Go ahead.
Yeah, but you know what? You guys are good backseat drivers, so that works. Hey, just really quickly, Julian Edelman is retiring.
Yeah.
We're talking about Hall of Fame already, and you know they always do that.
A local guy from the Bay Area.
That's true. That's right.
Yep. Woodside High School, Redwood City.
Redwood City, which is not.
Then he went to Kenyatta College for like a year or so, and then, bam. Was a quarterback at Kent State, and then converted to a wide receiver.
Yeah. A lot of these guys do that.
A 7th-round pick of the New England Patriots.
Yeah, it's funny how many of these guys start off as quarterbacks, and you know if they're kind of big, like a Ben Roethlisberger type guy, you know they end up being either wide receivers or tight ends.
Well, some of these guys, when they play in an offense where you have to essentially create off the dribble when plays go down and you have to extend the play, a good running quarterback that can make it something out of nothing, it can be valuable. And a lot of these guys can play multiple positions.
All right, stay with us. Sports Econ 101. We'll be right back. Well, welcome back to Sports Econ 101. Edward Brown, along with Vern Glenn and Russell Jackman. So we were starting to talk about Julian Edelman. Mm-hmm. You know, his numbers may not be.
Yeah, I was going to say, usually it goes the other way around. You usually have a guy who has a lot of high stats and not enough Super Bowls to qualify him. Here you have a guy who has enough Super Bowls to qualify him, but doesn't really have the stats otherwise.
But if you peel back the onion a little bit and just look at his postseason numbers, they are up there. Only Jerry Rice is ahead of him in receiving touchdowns and yardage and stuff like that. So you get to the postseason, Julian Edelman, thanks to Tom Brady, have been a money player.
Yeah. Also, it's, you know, a guy's impact on the game. You know, you make the right, the big catch at the right time, to continue the downs. You know, run the clock out.
Well,
he's famous for one of them.
The question is, you know, out of all those Super Bowl victories, other than Tom Brady and Belichick and Gronkowski, who else is a Hall of Famer out of that group? And it's certainly not any of the running backs because they were totally disposable.
Weren't they talking about Wes Welker?
Wes Welker, maybe Deion Lewis, maybe, you know. They don't have great stats either. Edelman's got better stats than both of those guys do.
Yeah, Edelman and Gronk, they were the go-to guys for Brady in the offensive scheme of things. But when somebody had to be open and somebody absolutely had to be clutched, it was those two guys. And in the slot receiver position, Edelman was the man.
Yeah, how tall is he? Like 5'10"?
Yeah,
I don't even think he's 6 feet tall.
Yeah, he seems kind of a small guy on the field. Yeah, so it's, you know, and again, that's probably one of the reasons why you got to wait 5 years is because people, you know, automatically have. It's usually automatically, yes, you're in the Hall of Fame, but then after a while you kind of back off. I don't know how many times guys retire and they go, there's no way that he's in the Hall of Fame. And 5 years later they go, maybe he should be in. You know, sometimes 20 years later.
There might be some guys who are borderline when you get around to the barbershop, you know, tossing back a few beers discussion on who should be in and who shouldn't be out. Yeah. My criteria is if you have to think about it more than 3 seconds, not a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, and that's the thing is, we always talk about how if some guy gets in, do you go, well, wait a minute, that guy was much better, or that guy's not in, but he's much better than that guy. Kick that other guy out and put this guy in.
Well, Edelman, on the basis of regular season stats, would lose that argument most of the time. But
I agree.
But with the Super Bowl victories, I think he goes in because otherwise you can't explain how Tom Brady won all those Super Bowls without being able to put in at least a couple Hall of Famers with him.
Yeah,
Brady didn't do it all by himself.
True. And same thing with Edelman. I mean, you have to have a good quarterback, and you have to have a good front line.
Well, yeah, we know Tom Brady's going to the Hall of Fame, so that part's not difficult. But it's
go ahead.
I was going to say, if you're going to say that Tom Brady did all of this without any Hall of Fame talent around him, it's sort of, there isn't logic there. He didn't do it with
Gronk will get in.
Players.
Yeah, Gronk will get in. He'll be a first ballot. But go ahead, Vern. What were you saying?
Well, my thought was if you wanted to look back, and not really speaking to the millennials out there that don't anything past the year 2000, but if you go back, I am not absolutely sure. I haven't been able to look it up. Is John Stallworth a Hall of Famer? Is he in?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I mean, if you think of those great Steelers teams of the 1970s, and a lot of them are in, but I think it took Lynn Swann a while to get into the Hall of Fame. There's not that many wide receivers in the Hall of Fame, if you think about it.
Well, that's a good point.
You would think there'd be this huge vat of them, but there's not as many, I think, as you might think.
Vern, he was inducted in 2002.
Okay, got it.
Okay, good.
So I was like,
You think so? Yeah.
Name that couldn't remember, but I was like, I thought he was. So he is.
But even at that, 2002, Stallworth last played late 70s?
Yeah,
took that long.
Wow.
Yeah, that's true.
Wow.
Yeah,
I'm still perplexed as to it seems like Joe Namath is only in because of the one Super Bowl.
Sometimes that's all you need.
Yeah,
no, Joe Namath stretched the field. When he entered the league, there was nobody like him, and he had that huge $400,000 a year contract.
Oh yeah,
from 1965, what was just like what? Oh, he's going to destroy the league. What? Who
and it's harder to find someone
Fran
more
Tarkenton,
famous. If you're talking about fame there, not just raw statistical accomplishment, it is harder to find someone that's more famous than Joe Namath.
That's true. Yeah, it's true. But
he's got
that's right. The Hall of
interceptions, but he's got numbers.
Yeah, I mean but he's like Terry Bradshaw. He threw more interceptions and touchdowns.
Yeah.
But I think Terry Bradshaw belongs in the Hall. And again, like you said, it's a Hall of Fame, not a Hall of Statistics. Okay, moving on here. So the Chiefs, they're talking about potentially them being partly to blame for Britt Reed's drinking before slamming his car into the stalled parked car where that 5-year-old girl was critically injured, because he apparently left the Chiefs locker room or the facilities and then went on right onto the freeway, and his blood alcohol was like 0.11. And it's like there's no bars between
don't we have to look at the facts? I mean, where was he when he consumed so many of these beverages?
They're thinking that it's somewhere in the Chiefs facility. But again,
he still has to take his own responsibility for that.
Absolutely. What if he had a whole bunch of beers and alcohol in his drawer? Nobody really knows about it. It's different like when you go to a bar and you keep ordering and you're way drunk and the bartender keeps feeding you liquor. That's different. Here, we don't know. I mean, was it a big party that was done? We don't know. But that's a big stretch, I think, to hold the Chiefs responsible because there's alcohol on the premises.
And I think that's one of those. Isn't fall down drunk? Isn't like it's over the limit, but it still could be hard for people to identify unless they're really familiar with him. that, you know, he would be acting drunk and that he was, you know,
Yeah.
so obviously inebriated that he couldn't drive. You know, that's
Yeah, and I don't know who else was around him at the time.
of course they want big pockets to try to pay for the injury, so that's why the Chiefs are being implicated in something like this.
Yeah, and apparently the cars were stalled because they ran out of gas. It's really sad when you have a situation where you have this innocent victim just, you know, wrong place at the wrong time.
Mm-hmm.
You know, just a car just
happens every day. Happens every day.
Yeah, I mean, and who would think? I mean, you know, you get out of the car, and is that more dangerous or less dangerous?
A lot of the times it winds up being more dangerous unless you get far away from like your car and the freeway.
Yeah, to even know, hey, my gosh, there's a car coming right at me. That's why I drive a motorcycle.
Hey, there you go.
But not all the time. It's a lot safer. Okay, are you guys?
It isn't. Are you kidding me?
Especially when you have to go all of what, a mile from your house to.
Yes, exactly. And I don't have any seatbelts on there.
Right.
That would be dangerous. In fact, I'm thinking about not even wearing a helmet because that kind of ruins your constructive sight of vision. I'm teasing, audience. No, I always wear my helmet. Mostly because I don't want to get a ticket.
Yeah,
not because I fear for my life.
The fastest way to get a ticket.
That's right. Well, you remember the old days we didn't have to wear helmets, you know, and some of us, so wild and crazy
you
guys.
have to have your brain cells functioning.
Yeah, that's true. Okay.
I just have this vision of somebody flagging Edward down. Hold on, son. Where's the That moped's going a little too fast.
Well, that's right, because it's a scooter, so I have a little bell that goes bring, bring, a little screamers on the thing, right. and put little bicycle, cards in the
baseball cards.
No, not anymore. The playing cards. All right, here's our first trivia question here. Who in his rookie year played every position in the NBA Finals game?
I think I know this one.
I think you guys will know this one too. All right.
Okay. All right.
All right. Email Edward at sportsecon101.com. The answer to this question, we're talking about NBA Masters here. Who in his rookie year played every position in an NBA Finals game? Stay with us. Sports Econ 101. I'll be right back. Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. Edward Brown, Vernon Glenn, and Russell Jackman here. Who in his rookie year played every position in an NBA Finals game?
That hook shot.
Let's lob that up to Mr. Jackman.
Mr. Jackman, yes.
The hook shot that he made against the Celtics with when Kareem couldn't play.
That's right. He got injured.
Play by Magic Johnson.
That's
where
right.
He had to play center.
That is correct.
You look at the Lakers' makeup of that year. They didn't have a power rebounder so much, and Kareem, while an amazing shooter, wasn't that great as far as his rebounding went. I think he was only about 6 rebounds per game, you know, maybe 6 or 7 rebounds per game. So he wasn't a towering source of rebounding. And Magic was almost as good a rebounder per game as Kareem was. So when
why do you think that was? Because you know Kareem's 7 foot. Usually
because they made so many baskets. Their field goal percentage was through the roof.
The Celtics was.
No, the Lakers.
No, the Lakers.
No, okay, but I was going to say, you were talking offensive. What about defensive rebounding?
Rebounder, because he didn't have to rebound. He shot 60%.
Okay, yeah, but what about being on defense, though?
Well, the defense, it's a system where the defense creates the offense, and the Laker offense was built so that whoever got it, everybody else started taking off running because they wanted to go up tempo and make the shot at the other end.
Very interesting.
He did make the shot.
Pretty much how the Warriors are built now. Defense creates the offense.
A couple of years later, they led the league historically in field goal percentage. They became the highest field goal percentage shooting team of all time.
Yeah.
Just a couple of years after that.
That's back when they got the nickname Showtime.
Showtime, yeah. Well, speaking of the Warriors, Curry last night surpassed Wilt.
That was amazing.
53 points. So I'm trying to remember now, how many years did Wilt play with the Warriors? Because he went 6. I mean, because obviously, you know, you had your Philadelphia Warriors 100-point basket, 100-point, which right. Probably is like 3 or 4 games worth for most.
You know, in my mind, I'm thinking there's a chance for Curry to make a 100-point game. I really do. I think with his free throw ability plus the 3-point shot, You know, he made 16 free throws yesterday, you know, to be at 58, and he didn't even have to play the whole game, you know.
Yeah, and think about the greatness of Will Chamberlain. No 3-pointers back when he was playing,
and he could barely hit a free throw.
And it took him. He made all those points in 900 and some odd games. Took Curry 700 and some odd games, but Curry had the 3-pointer.
And he will probably have a longer career, I think, than Will, because he's not as physical with it. I mean, he doesn't have to, you know, play down low. And,
well, also Curry doesn't have that many women in his life.
That'll wear you out.
What's the old saying? Women weaken legs.
I was just gonna say that. From Mickey. From Clubber Lang. He'll knock you in tomorrow.
Rocky Balboa.
But I think we're all going to look back on this era with Curry and say that we were really lucky as basketball fans.
Yeah,
a guy with this kind of ability and this kind of scoring and being so humble about it. That's one thing that you didn't get with Will Chamberlain.
Well, and the same thing, you know, for us who also watch Michael Jordan, and for those of us who were old enough to be able to watch Will Chamberlain. Loved that guy. You know, just that big palm, you know, and you know, because there weren't that many 7-footers back then, and he was like a Shaq, you know, a mountain of a man.
And yet, Bill Russell played him. He played him.
He did. I always like Will
felt that they didn't need him and traded him once they got Nate Thurman.
And Nate good, but how tall was Nate?
I thought he was 7 feet or 6'11".
Was he 7 feet too?
6'11", 7 feet. Yeah. Nate the Great.
All right, umpire Joe West. Remember him? I guess he's going to be retiring here pretty soon. He just won a $500,000 defamation suit against catcher Paul LaDuca. Apparently, on a podcast, Paul LaDuca stated that West, quote, traded strikes for off-field favors. Specifically, he's talking about West apparently favoring pitcher Billy Wagner, who LaDuca was actually the catcher at the time. Basically expanding the strike zone in exchange for Wagner's 57 Chevy, just the use of it. So apparently here's the story. Paul LaDuca goes on some radio podcast and says, yeah, well, there was this one game specifically with Billy Wagner where, you know, I'm catching for him and I go out to the mound a lot, and he says, yeah, throw inside, and no, West, he hates that. You know, he won't give you the strikes, and he doesn't like you. And he goes, no, he likes me. Don't worry about it. So, like in 10 pitches, he strikes out the side because Billy Wagner came in as a relief pitcher, and afterward, Paul LaDuca is going, I don't understand. What happened? And he goes, oh, no. He goes, every time he comes into town, he likes to borrow my 57 Chevy and kind of, you know, as sort of a favor, will expand the strike zone. So that's the story, right? So
another argument in favor of the computerized strike zone.
Yeah, but here's the deal. So apparently, obviously, he's on a podcast. This gets out, and Joe West sues Paul LaDuca because for defamation and $500,000 because he's claiming that this is going to harm his chances of getting into the Hall of Fame.
Sure.
As an umpire. And here's the thing, though, is
nice.
You know, Paul LaDuca apparently did not show up at the hearing to defend himself because the thing is, the truth is always a defense. Isn't that right, Mr. Russell Jackman?
It is. That's the number one defense to defamation. That and damages are your
you have to claim, you have to prove damage, and then maybe that's where 500,000 was a number given to the potential damage of not getting into the Hall of Fame. Well, assuming he doesn't get into the Hall of Fame because of that, or gets sued.
Mr. Jackman, I thought of you because as we record this show, the night before, Ellen Adair, friend of the program, played ADA Glover in an episode of Bull on CBS. She's so sweet and so nice, but that show, she's kind of the bad guy.
Oh, can't have Ellen Adair being a bad guy.
Why'd you think of me?
Because she's well, but I mean, because she was a prosecutor. You're a defender, but still, she was playing a lawyer.
Gotcha.
Okay, well, there's plenty of people who play lawyers. It doesn't necessarily make.
How many people play lawyers that appear on this show?
Only when we had a real attorney. I mean, in addition to Mr. Jackman as a guest. Yeah, Ellen Adair, boy, we loved having her on. We got to have her on again. She is a baseball aficionado.
Oh, man.
I think we had her on before I was actually doing this show.
Yes. Yeah, we did.
No, I've never been co-host when she's been on here.
No, she was great. We talked baseball, and, I mean, she really, really loves baseball. I mean,
yeah, she's feeling really good because her Philadelphia Phillies are doing pretty well.
Yeah.
In fact, inside knowledge, she's married to a Met fan. And as we do this show, the Phillies are playing the Mets.
Ooh.
So imagine that dynamic in the house.
I think she said that before. There's always a little tension in the household.
Yeah.
Apparently there was a guy named Bohm for the Phillies, tags up and tests the arm of an Atlanta left fielder, makes it home, and apparently even on replay they still gave the umpire called him safe.
Oh yeah, it just happened.
Yeah.
It just happened. Yeah, the guy takes off and his foot did not touch the plate, and they called him safe. And then it went to replay, and it was still safe. And everybody was just baffled because we could clearly see on replay that that he
missed the plate.
The foot missed the plate.
So how do they not overturn it then?
I don't know.
Isn't that
that's the baffling thing? That's the baffling thing.
Wow, that's kind of crazy. I mean, that's even
but they counted the run and the Phillies won the game.
Well, that was like
Don't
that.
worry, it's baseball. There'll be plenty of times for a payback.
Yeah, but
against them.
I mean, I can understand if they didn't have replay. You know, you kind of go, oh, shoot, the guy missed a call. Okay, fine. But when they do replay,
and they still got it wrong.
Yeah, Angel Hernandez, didn't he do that? He called something, he called it not a home run, and it was for the A's, and they ended up being a
we could have a whole other program on everything Angel Hernandez is called.
Yeah, he knows so good. I mean, I don't like him too much as an umpire. Mm-hmm. All right. Okay, we haven't gone into our controversy, and we will get into our controversial play-by-play. So actually, it'll get a little controversial, but I'd like to hear your guys' comments on this. All right, so here.
Well, let's just stir it up for the audience out there.
Okay,
Edward, a Georgia voting apologist. And Russ and myself kind of see like the big picture with the rest of the world.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, if you want to couch it in that way, I'll accept it. I just want even playing field. That's all. Everyone should have a right to vote.
Even playing field, and yet you're still on the side of the new voting laws for the state of Georgia.
All I want is
even playing.
We'll get into that. Okay.
All right.
Here's our second trivia question: who were the original Twin Towers in basketball? Now, first, see who were the not original Twin Towers. I'll see if you can get both of those questions. All right.
Who were not the original Twin Towers, and who were the original?
Yeah.
Twin Towers?
Yeah, I know one pair. I'm not sure which one is considered.
Okay. Well, we'll see if you know both pairs. All right. Stay with us. Sports Econ 101. I'll be right back. You're not going to want to miss this next segment. Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. One more time, Edward Brown here, along with Vern Glenn and Russell Jackman. Trivia question number 2: who were the original Twin Towers, and also who were the non-original Twin Towers?
As far as I know, Olajuwon and Sampson were the
that's what I would do.
Okay, that is correct. They were the original Twin Towers. Okay. Who were the second pair?
Was it Tim Duncan and David Robinson?
Yes, very good. That was
very good.
Very good. I like that. Holy smokes, 2 for 2. And
if you wanted to say who were the Skyscrapers, that's a tag team of the Undertaker and either Hans Ivy or Psycho Sid Vicious.
So just so you know, for the audience, if whenever Mr. Jackman makes a comment, it always has to relate back to wrestling.
I try really hard.
Okay, well. Speaking of wrestling, are they going to do the same thing that some of these players are doing and deciding to sit out games because of a shooting that happened in Minnesota?
Not and you want to work for Vince McMahon and the
Not
WWE.
if you want to work for Vince McMahon.
We
Okay.
just had WrestleMania over the weekend, which was a 2-day
Oh, yeah.
event and mind-numbingly awful, to be honest with
Really?
you.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
there were a couple of good matches, but for 2 days, one of the stuff. Try to think of like if the Super Bowl took over 2 days, like you played the first half on one day, and then you played the Super Bowl on the second half of the Super Bowl on another day. The next day, it would really dilute the excitement of the Super Bowl. And
Yeah.
I think the same thing goes on with WrestleMania. Too much of it isn't a good thing.
Gotcha. Okay.
2 days.
Well, hopefully they'll take your advice. Okay, so Arizona Governor Doug Ducey said, "I'd like to keep politics out of baseball. That's how I prefer it. I report to the people of Arizona and not a major league, not a major sports league. And I'm going to make decisions on the policies that are put in front of me." So he's basically, the governor's trying to, say, hey, let's keep the politics out of baseball.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, he's referring to
Good luck to that.
Yeah, because in Atlanta, I mean, this is Arizona, right? I mean, they took baseball All-Star game. They moved it from Georgia to Denver. I don't know how they chose Denver. Anyone know why they chose Denver? Because it's not quite as diverse a population as one would have thought, based on the whole idea of moving it out of Georgia.
I think they have like a list of like the cities that they have waiting in line.
Like the next year.
All-Star.
Yeah.
So they just
Yeah.
move it up.
Okay. So it just happened. So it just coincidentally, they would just happen to be the next one in line.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. And then my next comment here is it appropriate for players to sit out of games because of shootings by police? So my point here is if I worked at a bank in Minnesota, can I go and say, hey, I'm not going to work today because I'm protesting the shootings that happened in my city? I mean, I could, but I'm asking what's appropriate.
You could say I'd like a personal day because I'm emotionally distraught, or I fear for my safety, or
Okay.
somebody could walk in a bank and do shots could ring out. I need a day. I don't think there's any wrong with saying, hey, I need a day, or I need a moment.
Hey, listen, one of the guys who used to work for me when Jerry Garcia died, he took a week off because he was so emotionally distraught over the Grateful Dead leader.
Such a tragic way that he died. Just taken away from us.
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously I get that super emotional, part of how, hey, listen, Vern, you're on TV. There might be some emotional situation that happens where you say, listen, guys, I got to take a day off. And it could be, the birth of a child or something, but just the idea of a, political protest, let's call it. I mean, how would your employer feel if you took a day off for a political protest of just, hey, listen, you know what? I'm just upset with what happened in this city based on, what a police woman in this case.
I don't know if I would call it a political protest.
Okay. Or a social protest.
This is a shooting. This is the shooting of a 20-year-old black male.
Yeah.
In the Minneapolis area, as it happened with Floyd. I mean, it's pretty damning thing to happen.
Yeah, it happens. Yeah, in Minnesota again. What's with Minnesota? But don't they keep? Apparently, she said the police officer. She said that she thought she was reaching for the taser. Isn't the taser on one side of your body and the gun on the other?
The taser is supposed to be on the left side, and the
revolver
firearm is on your dominant side.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. The dominant side is where the firearm is, and the other side is supposed to be where the taser is. But for what? And she's a veteran police officer too. I mean, she's in charge of like a unit, and this happened. Crazy.
I'd like to.
I think I allegedly she said taser, and then discharged the weapon.
I mean, I'm guessing
completely different. They don't feel like the same.
that was going to be my question.
Yeah.
Are
There's
they
a trigger on a gun, and the taser has more of just a like it's just a button that you
like a
press.
lightsaber type of thing?
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, we're seeing across the country that police are not trained in the way that we would like them to be, and that there's a lot of gaps between, what we think is regular, reasonable behavior for a police officer and what they wind up doing in situations of extreme stress.
I mean, that's a really bad excuse about using, oh, gee, I thought I was reaching for my taser. I mean, that then it shows incompetence. I mean, you're almost better off to say, you know what, I thought he was reaching for a gun, and so I got scared, for my life. I mean, that could be kind of, whether or not it's true. I would say that would be a better excuse. Let's put it that way.
I would agree with that.
It really is concerning these incidents that have come to light, and I think in the age of these phones, everything is caught on video. Also, there's body camera video that police officers are supposed to wear. Now, I hesitate in painting a broad brush on law enforcement, because some of my friends I've known for over 25 years are really good, peace officers and very competent ones. So I hesitate to do that, but at the same time, I'm sure even they feel bad that these incidents have happened with
I'm
veteran
sure.
police officers.
To a point, although we look at the George Floyd situation, and those officers don't seem to show even the slightest bit of regret.
And it's funny because I've listened to both left wing and right wing type stuff on that, and what it comes down to, and I kind of hope the jury feels. And again, I'm not in the courtroom to hear the whole thing, and I've heard, well, he was on his neck. There's the George Floyd one, but then if you look, he's more on his shoulder and blah 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 blah. But I still come down to, but for the fact that he put, he got him in that position with the handcuffs and his knee on his neck. But for that, George Floyd would be alive. So I so far in my general feeling, I totally would hold Chauvin guilty.
Jurors are notoriously stupid.
What's that again? Juries
are notoriously.
Yeah, I mean, I know they want to
make
give
that blanket statement. I don't care what people think about me saying this. Jurors are generally idiots.
Well, that's why they should have paid jurors.
I said that in law school, and my criminal law professor almost threw me out of the class.
Really?
Yeah, she hated me. She not only hated me for saying that, she hated me the entire class. Like from like that week, that was like week 4. Like week 10, she hated my guts, and she wanted.
But and it's funny because I mean I agree with you, because I look at it. First of all, if they still only pay like $5 a day,
12.
Is it 12? Oh well,
12.
Well now I changed my mind.
Now sign you up for
them just righteous bucks,
And now you want a 2-year trial now.
Well, yeah. I mean nobody can live on that. Everybody hates being there. You're probably distracted.
Yes.
But if you paid, a decent wage for somebody, and you made a broad spectrum, you get some. I mean, it's going to be difficult to get.
I think it's the other way around. You want jurors that are experts in the field of the areas where you're going to be having this trial happen. So you don't have to re-educate a juror from 0 to expert level during the trial, which is, I think, one of the reasons why the O.J. Simpson verdict went the way that it did, is that you had people who were so unsophisticated they couldn't understand the DNA evidence that showed clearly that O.J. was there at the scene during the...
Well, and it's funny because I just watched where Cuba Gooding Jr. played O.J., and did a great job on that. And I look at that, and Marcia Clark, and again, I don't know how accurate this was compared to what really happened, but she asks him to try the glove on, right? But the thing is, he's wearing a glove over his hand beforehand. Nobody wears a glove and a glove unless it's like 2 degrees outside. So they should have had OJ take off the inner glove, and then put
the jurors were very, very gullible, and they were very malleable.
No, but Marcia Clark should have like, think about it.
Every single one of those jurors would have bought the Brooklyn Bridge from Cochran.
Well, if you remember, at the very end of the OJ trial, as they say not guilty, the one juror kind of like gives him a hot, yeah, and it's like, whoa, that oopers. It's sort of like when Ito was it Ito, somebody asked for an autograph or something, and so they put Ito in. I think it was something like that, but holy smokes! So I get it.
The system hasn't gotten any better since then. The system has not gotten any better, and that's why we have these kind of terrible decisions that have come down. I'm personally expecting the worst out of the George Floyd verdict.
Yeah, it's going to be hard to say why somebody would have to stay on someone's neck for 9. I mean, that's a long time. 9 minutes is a really long
the officers
time.
all feel that they were doing the right thing. They look them in the eyes and they all think, yeah, that's what we should be doing to anybody in that situation.
Well, no, but it seemed like even a couple of the officers had said, well, maybe we should do X or, roll him over, blah, blah, blah. No, he's fine. And the thing is, they were kind of like rookies underneath. And so it was hard for them to, and then, if I'm an innocent bystander and I'm filming it or something, it's going to be hard for me to suddenly put my camera down and push the officer over to try to say, because what's going to happen there too.
You're going to get your neck kneeled on as well for 9 minutes.
Yeah,
good.
Exactly. But I'm just kind of curious, how do you guys feel before we go to break about, sports figures basically saying, hey, I don't like what happened over here, so I'm going to protest the game, the game has nothing to do with shootings or politics or anything. How do you guys feel about players taking that kind of a stance?
The players who take a stance against social and racial injustice in America, I don't have a problem with that at all. Okay. It's been a hot button issue for well over a year now. So I don't have a problem with that at all. How about you, Russ?
Players are not indentured servants. I mean, they have
they get paid to show up. Hey, wait, we have to go to our quick. We'll come back with that. Okay. Third trivia question. See if you guys can go 3 for 3. What rule was adopted to the NBA in 1979?
Oh, okay.
All right. Stay with us. Sports Econ 101. We'll be right back. Think about it carefully. Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. Last time for today, I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with Russell Jackman and Vern Glenn. Last trivia question. You have to think about it carefully, though. What rule was adopted to the NBA in 1979?
So this is an added change to the game.
Correct.
That was indoctrined in 1979.
Yes, Vern.
Now this could have been one of a few changes that were
correct
made in 1979. The dominant one being the addition of the 3-point shot. But you are throwing out a trick question because something else happened in 79, and we're trying to figure out what that is. It could be, I don't know, the coach's box on the sideline, something like that.
And when did the 24
seconds
second clock come in?
Well, in college basketball, it was the mid 1980s. So the NBA had it first.
Well, I'm just going to say you got 3 seconds to decide. What's the answer, Vern?
Well, the 24-second clock. Then is that right?
No, it is the 3-pointer.
Oh, it is.
It was. You talked me out of it.
I profusely apologize. It was not a trick question. It was a normal one. All right, you guys ready for our thoughts for the day? Here we go.
Go.
I renamed my iPod the Titanic. So when I plug it in, it says the Titanic is sinking.
Oh, sinking.
SYNCING.
Oh, okay, nice.
iPod, yeah. You're
okay, sinking. Okay.
Yes. And I have a few jokes about unemployed people, but none of them work. All right.
See, now that's good.
You like that one? All right. Listen, I teased you too badly on that three-pointer one because you did have that right. I should have just said, yes, that is correct, not have you going, wait, what other rules may have come in 1979?
Yeah.
The coach's box. That's it. Yeah. All right. Tune in next week to Sports Econ 101. We'll be discussing sports topics from a business perspective and asking more sports trivia questions. Hopefully no trick ones this time. Thanks for listening on behalf of our team. I'm your host, Edward Brown. We'll see you next week.
Good night, America.
Adios, America.